Wasn't pleased with the way we kind of started the game. I felt it was like the first time since this group's been together that we haven't started pretty fast. We've been a fairly fast starting team, but just didn't think we kind of had, whatever it is. We were a step slow defensively, had a hard time keeping the ball out of the paint. They drove us early. We fouled early, which is typically a sign that you're a little late. The harder you play, the more aggressive you are, the less you foul. And we had some definite reactionary fouls early on. But you got to give them credit too. Like I said, it's really easy to look at yourself all the time and just talk about what you didn't do. But Coach Stewart and his group, they've played a lot of these games. They've been on the road this whole time, and they were ready to roll, and they were physical and they were aggressive, and we just weren't quite as sharp as we needed to be throughout the first half. Thought our guys responded well in the second half. Just with the physicality, and thought Jasper set the tone early on by going and getting some just big physical defensive rebounds. He didn't shoot the ball great, but still to be plus 30 on a plus minus, which tells some of the story, not always the whole story, but just thought his physicality, rebounding the ball. Thought Chance gave us some big free throw rebound opportunities, and just we were more physical and did a better job keeping the ball in front of us and keeping the ball out of the paint in the second half.
Questions?
So tonight you get everything from either in the paint or outside on the three-point line. You ever had that happen before?
I wouldn't say probably not. I don't know, honestly. I mean, typically, especially the way the modern game is played, it typically is more of a at the basket and three-point shooting. Obviously Amir shoots some floaters and Jasper shoots some floaters, but the way that they were defending us, they did actually collapse on us when we drove, and so that's why we shot 34 threes. And again, I thought probably 28 of them were actually really good shots. And then if you could kind of get past that initial line, then you were laying it up. But they did a pretty good job of collapsing early, and probably shocked us a little bit because we just haven't been guarded that way. Honor in particular. He's usually he receives a lot of attention, especially early in games, and he kind of has to work himself into finding open shots, and he kind of found himself wide open to start the game a couple of times, and it was almost like it shocked him a little bit. To answer your question, probably not that, that big of a disparity with it, but some.
So night and day difference between the first and second halves. What clicked in the second half?
I just thought our physicality on the ball defensively, we guarded the ball better in the second half. We kept the ball in front of us. Our activity level increased, and I think that was the biggest difference. Even from the start of the game, they just drove us right down the seams and shot layups on us to start the game. And in the second half, we were able to guard the ball a little bit better. Our gap integrity was a little bit better, and just executed better defensively.
Coach, whenever this first season comes to an end months from now, if you ever kind of look back, reflect on the season, you get to this game, do you remember the 50 or 40-point win, or do you remember it being a struggle in the first half? Yeah.
Both for sure. Yeah, you both for sure, and that's what like I said. Our guys have done a really, really good job of, like I said, we respect everyone. We don't fear anyone, but we respect everybody. And these guys had our respect. We prepared. We didn't quite have the level of intensity and physicality that you need, and it's a reminder. Again, this is college basketball, and you get you get reminders nightly. I'm sure you guys do. I mean, one of the last things I do before I go to bed is probably scroll through the ESPN app and look at scores around the country. And every night there's one, you're like, oh, crap, so-and-so beat so-and-so, And the reality is, if you don't show up with the right level of intensity and physicality and willingness to execute for 40 minutes, you can find yourself in dogfights with anybody. That's the truth.
Because you feel like your team is passing up some shots that it should take, especially mid-range ones that maybe trying to make the extra pass at times, or are you happy with?
Yeah, no, I thought, no. I mean, 20 assists, 7 turnovers. I think part of learning is understanding, if you're playing against, this is no knock on them, I'm just speaking in generalities. If you're playing against an elite defense, you may have to take the first shot you get that's open because you may not get a better look than that. If you're playing against, you got to kind of know what you're playing against. And so sometimes if it's not an elite defense, the longer the possession goes, the higher probability they'll break down and the better look you can get. So some of it is turning down good shots to get great ones. And I thought for the most part we took really good shots. There was only a handful of shots in my mind when it shot it. It was kind of like, didn't know if I loved that one. But 20 assists, 7 turnovers, 20 assists on 30 baskets. And if we'd have made a couple more threes, you're probably looking at 24, 25 assists on 30 baskets. So you'd much rather coach guys that are maybe being a little unselfish, that are maybe overpassing than guys that ain't passing to nobody.
You subbed Amir in less than a minute into the game. Was that a plan to get him in early, or did you see something that you just didn't like on the floor?
Yeah, no, it was just like there's a couple of defensive breakdowns early that wasn't crazy about, and he certainly wasn't alone. But again, it just kind of mirrored our start in general, so it wasn't something that was like premeditated or pre-planned. It was just kind of what the game called for it in that moment in our decision, as a coaching staff.
I don't know if you watched the game at the Greenbrier, but you got a chance on Saturday to play in front of kind of a different part of the fan base. Is that going to be a message to these guys that they're going to go out and play in front of a fan base that doesn't maybe not get the chance to drive up to Morgantown all the time?
Yeah, that was one thing we mentioned, mentioned in the post-game talk to the guys, that something that I'm excited about and something that I'm very happy that we were able to make happen. As with everybody in this state, you don't want to start singling anybody out, but it's like most people, it's an incredibly passionate part of our fan base, and know that game that has played there a lot of times. I think it was like 90-something times, and hadn't played there since 2016, and that was one thing when I first got the job, and doing the caravan in the spring and going around talking to people, talking with Ben and renting those guys, that was something that we felt like was really important to reward, that area and that part of our fan base, and then get to do it with a quality opponent. It's like there's a lot of reasons to be excited about it. So we got a little taste of it as a team when we went down there and watched the TBT play this summer. So that was cool. They have a reference point, and the crowd was awesome for that. So we're excited about it.
Hey, Ross, can you explain what it's like for you and what it takes to get comfortable going from 8 to 10 in your rotation?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I don't quite know if comfortable is the word I would describe at the moment, but it's I've kind of mentioned it's good problems, and maybe problem isn't the adjective that you would want to describe it with, but it certainly gives you a lot of different ways to play. And I'm still learning this group and learning combinations and figuring out, what lineup combinations work best together, and what's your best defensive lineup, what's your best offensive lineup, who do you want to play if you need a stop, who do you want to play if you need a bucket, and we're learning, but it's certainly it's fun, and it's something that I'm thankful for. I think if you asked any coach, at the beginning of a year, what they would be, one of the things they would be most hopeful for is that you just get to coach your entire team for the year, and so I'm glad that all these guys are back, and obviously Jackson and Chance have given us some much needed depth and punch, and it creates kind of some different pieces to the puzzle that you can play with.
I think earlier in the season, and you can, if I'm paraphrasing this wrong, let me know, but you said that it was just hard to get minutes in balance for 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
Do you cut back toward 8, or do you find a way to play 9 or 10 if they warrant that?
Yeah, I think some of it's going to depend on the game, and your opponent, and what it does is it gives you depth. And it gives you options if someone gets in foul trouble or if someone's not playing as well as they wanted to that night. It gives you more options in that regard. The college game being 40 minutes, typically, even if you play like fast, like you're probably still only looking at 73 to 74 possessions a night. So it can be challenging just from a minute standpoint, but I think that's where it's on the players as well. And the more guys that you have executing at a high level and doing the things that you're asking them to do and being productive in their minutes, then you feel obligated to play everybody. But if guys aren't executing at the level they want or impacting winning as much as they would like and what you would like them to, then they just have to come over there and be a really good teammate and cheer for their teammates.
How important is efficiency and what Chance Moore brings to you? Shot over 50% through the first 4 games.
Yeah. Just the biggest thing that Chance provides is just such a downhill presence, and he really is different. The closest thing we had when he wasn't in was Amir. Amir really can get downhill and get into the paint, but Chance's physical ability to get actually to the rim and finish through contact and around contact, and he's not a change of direction type of guy. He's not a guy that's stopping and starting and lefting and righting. I mean, he's going one way, and so that just gives us something completely that we hadn't had, until we got him back in it, and he's getting more consistent defensively and rebounding the ball, and He's one of those guys too that can start the break when he defensively rebounds or he gets deflections. He's a handful on the open floor.
Coach, last week or a couple weeks ago, when you guys went to Charleston, South Carolina, Chance was just getting back. Jackson was still out. You didn't really have the whole band wasn't together yet.
Yeah.
Now you've got this other chance now against Wake Forest, another power conference team. And now you've got the band together now. Does that kind of add anything more to, hey, let's see what we got with the whole group together now? Yeah,
I mean, the band's back together, but it ain't like they're playing hit musics right now. They're not playing number one. They're not topping the charts. You know what I mean? I think it was like what they say, like the Beatles played in like a garage for like 10 years before they were the Beatles. But no, it is nice, man. And again, I'm glad and I'm thankful, and so are those guys. To be out, to be whole, and have the opportunity to go again play against a really good team. I know they dropped one, last night, but up until that point, I mean, they had been playing at a pretty high level. Michigan, they led. I mean, Michigan, Dusty's a good friend of mine, and obviously they were tremendous in the Players era deal, and they were kind of the talk of everybody. But Wake Forest led that game for 40 or 38 minutes, and then Texas Tech, who's been a trendy pick, and to finish 1 or 2 in the Big 12. I mean, they had that game with an opportunity to win it too. So to answer your question, yes, it is nice to have everybody, and it's a great opportunity to learn more about ourselves and our team, and in a great environment against a great team. And so just really excited and thankful for that.
Coach, with Eagle staff getting double digits, but he also led the team in rebounds tonight. What'd you like from him tonight?
Yeah, Trey's been playing a good floor game. He's been playing a really good floor game. I think he led us in rebounding the other night, if I'm not mistaken, in the Mercyhurst game, and he's been defending. He's been aggressive. and made a couple shots today, which I know felt really good for him. And like I've said, man, he puts in a lot of work. He puts in so much work, as does a lot of these other guys. And I think it just speaks to he's bought into doing the things that we're asking him to do, and he's doing a lot of things that can impact winning. And it's only a matter of time before he really has a breakout game, in my opinion.
Coach Honor was telling the story that, after the 2 techs, and then he goes 1 for 4, and that when the next tech came, the way he told it, there wasn't any question that he was going to go back up. Some coaches would be the opposite. No, you're not going back up there. Kind of just talk about that system of belief that even when someone might be off, you still have faith.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the biggest predictor of future behavior is past behavior, and he's a lifetime 90% free throw shooter. So if he goes 1 for 4, in my head, I'm thinking he's about to make 40 in a row. And like I've said it, man, like these guys, they may not always want to block out. They may not always want to defend. They may not always want to try to get through a screen. But, man, when they shoot it, they want it to go in. They want it to go in. Maybe sometimes a little too much. But, yeah, it's just, we trust in them. And, honestly, I don't think he's ever going to miss a 3-pointer, let alone free throws.
Coach, thank you.